Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept our respectful obeisances.
Please accept mine, O good Prabhupada. Is it a good time to start?
Yes, please Prabhuji.
That was yes? Oh, okay. Welcome everybody to the Bhakti Vaibhava. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 31. So today we'll be finishing our group of sessions, and hopefully everyone has gained something from this. I think right now I wanted to start with the prayers of invocation and welcome you all. Thank you for coming. Om Akanatamarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Sma Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamala Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamala Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatam Nidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Hiram Shyam Hey Krishna Kararup Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopisha Govika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavane Shri Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatrubhishcha Kripasinduve Vajapatiranam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Shushu Shradhadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syanmat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat Shrinvata Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Vidyan Antastohi Abhadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam Nastaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki Krishne Swadamo Bhagate Dharma Jnana Libhi Saha Kalau Nasta Drisham Esha Purnako Dunodita. And now our prayers to invoke the mercy of Srimad Bhagavatam from the Krishna Lila Stava by Sanatana Goswami. Sarva Shastadi Puyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokaika Dritada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Sarva Bhagavata Prabho Kali Dvanto Ditya Krishna Parivartita Sarva. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O nectar churned from the ocean of Vedic scriptures. O most prominent, transcendental fruit of all the Vedas. O you who are enriched with the jewels of all spiritual philosophical conclusions. O you who grant spiritual vision to all the people of the world, O life breath of the Vaishnavas. O Lord, you are the sun which has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. You are actually Lord Krishna who has returned among us. So, welcome everyone to our last day, and let's see what we're going to do here. We are going to share with you this. Okay. Oh, let's go ahead. Let's see. Okay. Okay, and here we are. So, what do we got going on here? Okay. So, today, before we do a review, let us look at our drawings. Anyone who's got them. Let's see what we got. So, this drawing is Ananda Leela, and she's showing, I guess, a big bowl of all kinds of foods and a big plate ready. And she said, how to enjoy in cafe restaurant, I guess, and how to procure items. Oh, this drawing is the Lord. Oh, I'm sorry, my camera is just not looking good today. Okay. My apologies, I'm just not in the right spot. So yes, the mind is going through and is seeing so many items for sense gratification and thinking, this is my enjoyment. But the devotee is thinking how to please Krishna with the same activities. We are so fortunate. As in that prayer by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Sarira Vidya Jal Jatandya Teka, Jive Pale Vishaya Shagare, that these senses are actually networks of path leading to death. Why, that sounds very heavy thing to say, but it is true that these senses are dragging us life after life through one body after another. But Krishna is very kind. He is giving us opportunity to taste the prasad. If we offer things to Him with love and devotion, then we get to enjoy the prasadam. So this is something here that Ananda Leela has captured. Did you want to say anything more, Mataji?
Just that, as in those verses, it was, mentioned by Prabhupada and in the purpose that mind action is thinking, feeling, and willing. So whatever we think, then we act accordingly. So that was and mind is like the source of our activities from the past, and that generates the future activities. So if what we are doing in the present, that's what, we meditate upon, we think about it, and even we have dreams about it. So that was the thing. I mean, it's the same thing than how the question was saying, the conditioned soul, how he or she will react to that kind of situation. And with the same scenario, how a devotee would uh, be acting, like because the whole point is Krishna conscious. That means we are trying to purify our consciousness and trying to think about Krishna and relating everything to Krishna and his service. So the same item or the situation or the environment, whatever, so that could be dovetailed in the service of Krishna or in the thoughts of Krishna, and then that makes the individual soul less entangled.
Hare Krishna. Pranam, glories to Srila Prabhupada. I think we're getting some playback here.
Things good, Prabhuji.
So you have some drawings posted to post? Let me see what's going on in the chat.
Only one devotee has submitted. Devotees actually were busy in few services, so they were requesting that if we can do this exercise tomorrow, if it is okay to you, Prabhuji.
Okay, let me just see what's
I
going
talked
on.
to few devotees, so they were requesting like this. So I wanted to make this request to you.
Okay. So did you? Sorry. Did I interrupt everybody here, or you couldn't hear what was going on? Sounds like you didn't hear. Okay, it was just on my computer. Very good. Thank you, Ananda Leela Mataji. And then Gita Krishna. Well, it isn't exactly a drawing. It's more like a diagram. And the functions of the mind, thinking, feeling, willing. So in this state, the mind is under direction of the intelligence, and it performs actions either for the conditioned living being, and we can see there's many different actions, and activities of the devotee. Similar, but offered to Krishna. Distribution of books, preaching, study, shastra, deity worship, so many things. And I'm not sure all the things he said on the conditioned side. A little hard to read. Lamentation for past activities. Desire for future material sense gratification. Getting caught in karma bandhana and acquisition of different types of bodies. So like this. Yes, these are the basic activities. Very good. So, Rukmini, any other submissions are there?
Yes, Prabhuji. One more is there of her Priya Satyabhama Mataji's. I have shared the link. If you just click on link, it's there, Prabhuji.
I see two from Ananda Leela and one from Gita Krishna. Where's the other one?
Okay, I share again. Request all to please click this.
Oh, she's made like a PowerPoint. Huh. Okay. Yes, that's Obama. Oh. Now let's see. Let's see. What she says. Conditioned soul and oh, she's done a very extraordinary thing here. So there's the thinking, feeling, and willing, which you're familiar with. Conditioned soul, credence, gratification, fulfillment, desires. The center is I, collection of wealth, increasing their own status. The devotee is focused on service, fulfillment of Krishna desires. The center is Krishna, and he's opening temples, preaching Sankirtan, etc. A conditioned soul works on ahammameti, where the devotee works on the lines of Krishna consciousness. As the center for the devotee is Krishna, he works according to the instructions of spiritual master and takes his shelter. Conditioned souls are material, whereas devotees are spiritual activity. Okay, good. Good. I know you're all busy, but I was hoping for a little more creativity from other people as well, but we'll go ahead. We want to do a quick review.
I have also posted mine. It's a small one.
Yours is there.
Yes,
Oh,
please.
let us see what that one was. Because, yeah, you said you had one. I have to twist this around. Yeah. Non-devotee. He has apps on his phone and Instagram. Maybe you could help read it for me. It's a little bit difficult.
Yes, Prabhuji. It's a WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook. Non-devotee is always engaging their minds in just all these apps. As we said that it's a Kali Yuga Chela. We say like this, that all this is the smartphone is like a Kali Chela, and everybody has in his hand. So it's like a very dangerous thing for everyone, especially for a devotee. Why? Because devotee knows the goal, and he can just by engaging in little time, like we suppose a person, life expect, we don't know that we have the next moment or not. And if we just talk about the life expectancy, if it is of 60 years, just suppose 60, 65 or 70. So we have in our group, I believe that all of us have already spent half of our age. If the life expectancy, we talk about 65 or 70. So just in remaining 25, 30 years, just by using this body, which is made of stool, urine, and just by engaging this body, we can achieve the goal of life, to go back home, go back to Godhead, to attain Krishna Prem, to be engaged in the service of Radha and Krishna. So, but what we do, we are also caught in this thing. So this is non-devotee, of course, does this, but it is very dangerous for devotee as well, because they are not fully surrendered. So sometimes they think like they are surrendered, but this smartphones are like very dangerous. So they distract the mind. So what is to be done? We read and we like smartavya satatam vishnur vismartavya na jatuchit sarve vidhi nishedasur etayorev kinkaraha. So the goal of, whatever we do, whatever service we perform, the goal is, the motive is to remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. And this is, it is said in all the scriptures. So what a devotee does, a devotee engages his mind to understand Bhagavad Gita, and to do little service like bhoga offering to Krishna, preparing bhoga, like this. So this would Prabhuji.
Very nice. Very nice. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, okay. Let me see. Okay, somehow or other now I have to get back to sharing my screen. And now let's see what I can get. Oh, no, that's not it. Sorry. I didn't do it. Oh, okay. Give me a minute. Something isn't the way it's supposed to be. There it is. Okay. Hidden. So, yesterday, can anyone mention some things that you recall from our meeting about the Prachetas meeting Lord Vishnu? Anyone?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Uh, when the Lord asked the benediction from the Parchetas, then they didn't ask for any material benefit, and they asked for the association of the devotees.
Very good. And they had a conclusion. Because Krishna is unlimited, what should they do? Antaryami, you can answer.
They should serve together, Krishna. Is that the answer?
Well, no. Because Krishna is unlimited, they should ask for an unlimited benediction.
Yes.
So that is to always be in the hearing and chanting association devotees. But you started to go into another very important point, and that was what? What did the Prachetas do that pleased Krishna so much?
Cooperate with each other.
Yes, cooperate. They were cooperating, and then Krishna was pleased to give them all kinds of benedictions because of that cooperation. Sometimes we don't see that. We think, oh, if I cooperate, then I lose, they win. I don't get what I want. But actually, it's all for Krishna. And they may, and it's actually normal, part of being a living entity, that we may have different opinions on how to serve Krishna, or what is the best thing. But cooperation means together. We work together to please Krishna. Prabhupada gave an example about the father who comes home and he has 4 sons, and each one is pulling one arm, one leg, different directions, and the father is suffering. He's not very comfortable because they're all fighting who is going to get the attention. Yes, Rukmini, please, you have your hand.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one point from yesterday, it was like Ghoshnanandi. So Ghoshnanandi is one that who preaches all over the world to please Guru and Krishna. So this.
Yes. And therefore, this is better than a bhajananandi.
Yes.
So, I don't mean to be too personal, but which one are you? You're a Ghostanandi because you're there engaging in preaching to so many people visiting Vrindavan. And this way, the effects are felt all over the world. That's a very nice service.
One thing just like I heard that there is only one difference between Ghoshanandi and Bhajananandi. There can be the one main difference between Ghoshanandi and Bhajananandi is Ghoshanandi also does the sadhana. Bhajananandi only does the sadhana. The difference is that the Ghoshanandi does his or her sadhana among all the devotees. And the Bhajna Nandi does his sadhana in just a small small house, a small room, a small hut like this. So this is the only difference. Of course, our acharyas, we see that our acharyas were Bhajna Nandi, but they preached from their acharan. So like this.
Of course, we have to know that in ISKCON, all activities are considered by Prabhupada to be preaching. Not that those who are pujaris are somehow lacking something, but they are decorating and serving the deity, and this is being felt by so many devotees. I know here in Alachua, most of you probably have never been here, but we have living on the property only maybe 15, 20 people. Some are grihastas. But for the deity seva, we have more than 70 pujaris. And they have so many people that one person will do the artik, Mangal artik, another group will come in and take off the deity dresses, another one will come and bathe the deities, and then a third one will come and put on the new cloth. And they have 3 sets of deities, actually 4, so each one has their own pujaris. So in this way, so many people are serving the deity simultaneously. I'm sure you all have some situation, but and here the pujaris, they compete. They make the flower garlands themselves. They buy special ornaments and other things to decorate the deities and the altar. So every day is like a festival. It's kind of amazing and very, very beautiful. So by such service, great preaching is done. Anyone else want to share some other thoughts? And who was, what's it? Who was who did Prachetas marry?
Marisha.
Marisha. And who was she?
She was the daughter of Paramlocha and Canto.
Yes. And who was she raised by?
The trees.
The trees. And when she was hungry, who fed her?
Chandra.
And how many husbands did she have?
10,000.
10,000. We cannot imagine. We cannot imagine. The Pandavas, they had one wife or 5 brothers. And we know that Draupadi was with each husband 1 month. And it would switch. And when she was with that husband, no one else should bother. And there was one story one time, somehow Arjuna had to interrupt. And does anyone know that story? So many scholars here, somebody must have seen it. If you know, just speak.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
He was condemned to.
Yes,
Go
yes,
ahead.
please get the.
No,
Yes, yes.
please go ahead.
Okay, Rukmini, you're first.
Prabhuji, it happened like one time there was an emergency. In an emergency, the Draupadi was with Yudhishthir Maharaj and Arjuna had to go. So he went inside and this he like okay.
He gave his message.
Yes, yes.
And then he had to accept some austerity because he broke the rule. So what happened? What was that austerity? he had to go away. He had to leave. And he went to a far distant area. Was it Nepal? Does anyone remember? And then he married the daughter of the king there. I can't, some reason I can't remember that wife's name, but maybe some of you do. Come on, all you scholars. Krishna, Arjuna's wife. Was it Hidimba?
No.
Yes, it's Hidimbi. Hidimba was the brother,
And he
and
married
the lady
him?
was Hidimbi.
No, Hidimba was the wife of Bhim,
Hidimbi.
not Arjun.
Yes, she was the wife of
Oh,
Bhima.
right, yes. Mm.
So anyway, he had a wife there in that kingdom and had a son also. So this is the challenges of having one wife for so many husbands. Okay, let's continue on and let us go. Okay. And oh yes. So when we are offering services to the Lord, is it the service the Lord accepts, or what is he accepting?
Except Bhav.
The bhava, the attitude of service. So this is very important, that our attitude has to be to please the Lord. That will make the service acceptable. Not that I just have some duty, all right, I have to cook now, all right, I have to clean, or I have to do this or that. One of so many things I have to do. No, we should be doing it for the pleasure of the Lord and pleasure of the spiritual master. So what was the benediction that the Prachetas wanted ultimately?
Association of pure devotees.
Yes, definitely. And pure devotees, and what were they doing?
They are always engaged in serving Krishna.
Discussing Krishna's pastimes. Very nectarian. All right, let's go on. Today is probably going to be a little short, but because this is a short chapter, there's only 31 verses. So, but we managed to go half an hour already. So here we are in chapter 31, and Narada Muni is coming back again. And how many years after his last appearance? Anyone can remember? 1 million years later. So the Prachetas were there in Grihastha life, enjoying 10,000 with their one wife in the kingdom for 1 million years. And I know that's not, I was just thinking, if I had to live 1 million years in this body in Kali Yuga, I probably would forget Krishna sooner or later. Kali Yuga is so terrible. They're always being bombarded and things are going down again and again. Without the association of devotees, it would be very, very difficult. So here, Narada Muni, he appears again. After the Prachetas finally said, all right, enough, Grihastha life. They put Marissa, their wife, in the care of their son, Daksha, the great Prajapati, and they went to the seashore where the sage Jajali was residing. had attained perfection. So it was a holy place, of course. And then Narada arrives. So they offered in their obeisances, and then they said, we're too attached to our family, and that made us forget the instructions of the Lord. So family life is like that. And they're asking Narada to enlighten them with the torch of knowledge. And Narada Muni is very special because he is always speaking, thinking, hearing about the Lord. He has no other activity. So let's see what this means here. Great Chetas lived at home for thousands of years and developed perfect knowledge and spiritual consciousness. At last they remembered the blessings of the Supreme Lord and they left home. So they were not actually forgetful, although they felt they were, because they were absorbed in family duties. Those who are grihastas, we all know that even as devotees, they have so many family duties. I know I had the mistaken idea that once the child goes and gets married, that's end. No more responsibilities. But it doesn't end there. It continues, and then the grandchildren come and so many things. So Pachetas again finished their penances. They were blessed by the Supreme, and after finishing family life, under that blessing, they leave home, put their wife in charge of Daksha. Now what happens? The children, Prabhupada takes the time to talk about children. Children are given freedom during school and college in a conditioned soul's life. And what do? They simply enjoy sex life. And this is especially prominent in the West. It's just considered natural part of life. This is what people do. So therefore, most of the children being born of undesirable fathers and mothers are varna sankara. And consequently, the whole world is in chaos. And finally, then, when a person is retired, he should leave home, search for Krishna consciousness, and make his life perfect by going back home, back to Godhead. So we should be very careful about this. Those of you who may still be developing a family should be careful that how important is that we don't want Vana Sankara. They're a burden on the earth. And they generally don't upraise this consciousness of all the other human beings. We see that the karmis, and there's pregnancy, and then they're considering killing the child because it is inconvenient, unwanted, came I wasn't expecting. Oh, sex is there, but I wasn't expecting a child. Such a thought is amazing. What do they think sex means? It means simply enjoyment? No, it means the conception of children. So in Kali Yuga, there's a long line of individual souls who are waiting to take birth in this Kali Yuga. Unfortunately, they're all demoniac. And therefore, life is not very good. For the general thing we see easily, so many wars, so much cheating, so much ignorance, so much violence, because of filled with Vana Sankara. So unless one practices penance austerities in his student life, that's when he's a child, he cannot understand the existence of God. Without realizing Krishna, one cannot make his life perfect, and one should leave his so-called comfortable home, which is simply meant for killing the soul. Very strong statement. The comfortable home life is just there to kill the soul. Because for the conditioned soul, this is exactly what happens. You know, the soul is just overwhelmed by all these different sources of sense gratification, these different entanglements, and they completely forget, ignorant of the goal of life. So the devotees take a bold position and they go and wake them up by giving them Prabhupada's books and prasadam and the holy name. So the Bachetas, they became perfect in Krishna consciousness, even though they lived grasta life for so many years. A spiritually advanced person does not see the difference between one living entity and another. This platform is attained by determination. The devotee wants to see everyone developed in Krishna consciousness. One desiring perfection or liberation should associate with a person who is already liberated. That is called sadhu sangha. So several different ideas here. And we want this sadhu sangha. This will help us come to the higher platform of consciousness. And what is that consciousness? That all living entities are equal. Now they have, so many groups saying, I want to be seen with my rights. Different races, different countries, men, women, and so many in-betweens. And it is not spiritual. They're simply seeing differences. They want to be different, seen as different, something, and then some distinguish, and then my group is better than your group. There may be fighting, discrimination, so many things. So Narada, he's coming. After practicing yoga asana for mystic yoga, Bachetas managed to control their life air, mind, words, external vision. Thus, the pranayama process was completely relieved of material. They were relieved by that, of their material attachment. So pranayama has that power. And the Bachetas concentrated their mind on Shamasundar form of Supreme Brahman. Unfortunately, these days, this pranayama and yoga, people have no idea what is the purpose of it. In fact, I saw one advertisement, I think it was yesterday, come join our yoga group. It has no spiritual messages, which is like ridiculous, because that is the whole meaning. Okay. So let's see. Okay. So who do they're following Lord Shiva, and they concentrate their mind on Shamasundar form of the Supreme Brahman. This is very wonderful because Shamasundar is most attractive. His features are all attractive. And so much wonderful pastimes. And always associated with so many incredible devotees. So in Vrindavan, Rukmini can tell us that we're so benefited by Srila Prabhupada that we have the Shamasundar, Radha Shamasundar form to be focused on in our worship. So perfect Vaishnava's position should be just like Narada Muni, completely independent and unbiased. It is significant that all Prachetas were engaged in practicing yoga to concentrate their mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They knew the purpose of yoga. They wanted not just peace, but they wanted to focus on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Narada Muni, he's traveling all over the universe. We see in the Bhagavatam so many different places he appears, and especially related to Krishna's pastime. So he is like the sun. And he is traveling, and he's driving away the fear that is in the hearts of all living entities. The fear of death, the fear of so much suffering, the fear of existence in the material world. So due to the night's darkness, everyone is afraid of rogues and thieves, especially in great cities. When one meets Narada or his representative, a spiritual master, one is freed from all anxiety brought about by ignorance. So that is what the devotees who are out preaching are doing. They're relieving everyone of their fears and anxieties because they're ignorant. Being over-attached to family affairs, we almost forgot the instructions we received from Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. This is the Pracheta speaking to Narada. One should know that sense enjoyment is not required, but one has to accept sense enjoyment inasmuch as one has to live. One has to become a Goswami, control his senses. One should not be attached to the sense object, but should accept sense enjoyment as much as required, no more. So like we take prasadam, and we know that this prasadam, how important that is for us and for all devotees. It is actually a greatly pleasurable event, and devotees enjoy, but it's connected with Krishna, so there's nothing to fear. Everyone should be interested in getting out of the material clutches. Everyone should approach the saintly person to be enlightened in this connection. So those of you who are book distributors, this is a great line, a great inspiration for approach, that we want to give you enlightenment so you can get out of the material clutches. That is our purpose. We don't want anything else from you. This is devotee's motive. So here we have a verse given in the Bhagavatam. Narada uvacha tajjanma tani karmani tadayustan manovacha rinnam yena hi vishvatma sevyate harit ishvara. The great sage Narada said, when a living entity is born to engage in devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Controller, his birth, all his fruitive activities, his lifespan, his mind, and his words are all factually perfect. So this is the perfect life. And this is the opportunity that we are taking, and this is the opportunity we give our children and all those we come in contact with. So Narada, what is his position? He has no other business than thinking of Krishna, preaching about Krishna, talking about Krishna. If one possesses Bhagavan within his heart always, he does not automatically possess all. Does he not automatically possess all opulences? So this is an interesting statement. Because the devotee has Krishna in his heart, therefore he also has all opulences. So you're all very wealthy. And be very charitable. Give this wealth to others. The spiritual master is accepted directly as the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he possesses the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart constantly. So he has within his heart these dust particles from the lotus feet of Krishna. And by associating and inquiring and serving the spiritual master, these dust particles become sprinkled on us. And we become eligible to go back to Godhead. When a living entity engages in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of God, who is the Supreme Controller, what happens? His birth, his fruitive activities, his lifespan, his mind, his words are all factually perfect. So everything he's doing, everything about his life becomes perfect because he's serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now Prabhupada mentioned Aryans. Aryans means the topmost civilization. Among Aryans, one who engaged in devotional service of the Supreme Lord is most successful in life. The word Nrinam indicates that lower animals are not expected to engage in devotional service. Activity is successful if it results in serving the Lord. And when our senses are engaged in that way, we attain bhakti. So again, this is very important that we know exactly how our lives are becoming perfect. So, 3 types of births. One is by a pure father and mother, by semen. Second, initiated by the spiritual master, Savitra. Third is Yagnika, the worship of Lord Vishnu. So by worshiping Lord Vishnu, it's again another birth. A little tendency to become Krishna conscious, and he should take that, given that chance to elevate himself. So when somebody has a tendency for Krishna consciousness, give him that opportunity to render transcendental service. Unless one becomes, when one becomes a Brahmin, we were talking about this yesterday briefly, or Dvija, is done by an initiation process. Unless one is twice initiated, he is not allowed to enter the kitchen or deity room to execute duties. Unless he meets all the Brahminical qualifications, he cannot be accepted as a Brahmin. So Prabhupada had this standard that he had Brahmin initiation so that we can properly, authentically serve the deities, cooking for the deities, preaching the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. So now, going forward, 3 types of births. Without bhakti, the following are useless. Kim janmabhi stribir veha shokra savitra yagnaika. The 3 births, we just mentioned them. The activities of the Brahman are instructed in the Vedas. The humans have a certain life to be engaged. You should engage in Vedic education and practice austerities, power of speech, mental speculation should be eliminated. Like this. He has so many facilities. So without God realization, so many things are useless. Mystic yoga, analytic study of matter, renounced order Vedic study, other auspicious acts. Anything that doesn't help us realize Lord Hari is useless. Now, why is that said useless? Because if one has to take another birth, then his actions in life have no value. no substantial result. Simply engaging him again and again in birth and death. So Krishna is the source of all self-realization. Service to him is most auspicious. And the Supreme Lord is the Atma of all Jivatma. When he is pleased, he gives himself to the individual. So these are different points coming from these verses. How we water the root of the tree, everything becomes nourished. If we simply water the leaves and branches, that will not be sufficient. Supplying food to the stomach enlivens all the senses and limbs. It's not that Prabhupada gives the example. You just put the food in the hand and you mush it around. That will not bring any satisfaction to the body and the senses. So by worshiping the Lord, the demigods are pleased. All living entities are pleased. And this is the essence of devotional service. Sometimes in our preaching, we come across people who are by custom, by tradition, are attached to worshiping the demigods. So we must explain to them that by worshiping Krishna, all that worship is automatically fulfilled. And the results, the permanent results, are acquired by the living entity. So what are we saying here? No one understands Krishna. Okay, no one is understanding Krishna. Without devotional service, what is the meaning of severe austerities? The process of, hearing, the power of speech, mental speculation, elevated intelligence, strength, power of the senses. What is the use if there's no devotional service? How many religious systems are there wherein the penances and austerities are greatly stressed, but at the end, no one understands Krishna. If the senses cannot help him attain the highest perfection of life, the realization of the Supreme is all useless. So Ananda Lila had a question or a hand raised there for a moment, and now it's gone. Is there something on your mind?
Yes, Prabhu. What is the difference, the three births, which is discussing the verse number 10, what is the difference between the second and the third?
Well, the third, it means you're actually engaging in the yajna. You're not simply initiated as a Brahmin, but you're actually doing the yajnas. So there's some benefit to the performer by the performance of yajna. And that is a refreshing new birth. Doesn't give a lot of information about what that means. If you research that, maybe you can tell me more on the answer.
Thank you.
But we are performing yajna. What yajna are we performing?
Harinam
Sankirtan Yajna.
Harinam.
That's Sankirtan. And so that revitalizes the living being, gives him a spiritual birth. So therefore it is the process, the yajna of the age. Then Prabhupada makes an interesting statement. He says that merging in Brahman requires a touch of devotional service. Karma, Jnana, Yoga, Bhakti is required in all of these. The duty of the living entity is to understand his real identity. When he does, Krishna will come and give him all the facility to come to the platform of devotional service. And the last one comes to Bhakti Yoga. Self-realization or realization of absolute truth cannot be achieved. So we know that realization ultimately means realization of Bhagavan. not just Paramatma or Brahman. So that realization requires bhakti. One cannot know the Supreme Lord in all fullness without bhakti. That is obviously explained by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita. Can anyone quote one verse from Bhagavad Gita that indicates? You're all great scholars.
What indicates Prabhuji?
A verse that indicates that if you want to completely understand Krishna, you have to engage in bhakti yoga.
The Ram. This one, Prabhuji.
Well, obviously, this is that one verse where Krishna says of all different types of yoga, bhakti yoga is the best. I'm just paraphrasing.
योगी नाम अपि सर्वेषां मद
Yeah.
गतिनन्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते एवं विश्वमेव मतः.
So yes, he's been describing karma yoga, jnana yoga, hatha yoga, all different yogas. And then he says, out of all these, the best is bhakti, where one comes to understand that Krishna is everything and I must worship Krishna. Let me see. Sorry, I have to just check here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's keep going. Simply worshipping Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through devotional service. Through devotional service, what will happen? Automatically, the demigods are satisfied. So you must find that a very important point to explain in your preaching work. Krishna is the root of everything, and by supplying food to the stomach, we satisfy the senses. So creation and dissolution. So Prabhupada gives us an example. During the rainy season, water is generated from the sun. The sun is evaporating the waters from the ocean. And in due course of time, in the summer season, it's distributed, and then in the summer season, it comes and absorbs it again. And in this way, all living entities are generated from the earth. And after some time, they all return to dust. So in this way, everything is emanated from Krishna, and in due course of time, everything enters into him again. So this entire cosmic manifestation is coming from Krishna's body, and at the time of annihilation, it enters him again. So with this vision, it is very important. We see so many things in the material world, but they all are coming from Krishna. They're all from his energies, and at the end, they'll all be destroyed and absorbed again back into him. So it is simply Krishna's energy. The sunshine is non-different from Krishna. Cosmic manifestation is different from the Supreme, non-different, as we were talking here. So we see the cosmic manifestation, it is Krishna, Krishna's energy. When the senses are active, they appear to be part and parcel of the body, but when the body is asleep, their activities are unmanifested, so the cosmic creation is non-different and different from the Supreme. So here, Prabhupada is giving the example of the senses. The senses, when they're active, working senses, knowledge gathering senses, They appear to be actively part and parcel of the body. And when the body is asleep, there's no activity of the senses. So the cosmic creation the same way is exhibited and then is wound up. It is always part of Krishna. Very helpful thing to understand when we are explaining, especially to the preaching. People don't understand how the material world is related to Krishna. Those who live in the material world are living on the bodily rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they can't see Him personally in their material condition. So they wonder, is God present? So many people are theorizing, oh, God is not present. He has gone away. He is far away, some distant heaven, and He can't see, doesn't know everything that's going on. But Prabhupada says, as an example, it is not necessary for the king to live in every room of his palace for that palace to be his. All the planets resting on the sunshine are non-different from the sun. So Krishna owns this material world. It's his energy. He created. And everybody is resting, living on the rays of the sunshine coming from Krishna. When one is awakened, senses become active. Similarly, the cosmic creation sometimes manifests and sometimes unmanifests. When the cosmic manifestation is dissolved, is a kind of sleeping condition, inactive state. So we know at the time of dissolution, the whole cosmic creation is wound up and re-enters the body of Vishnu. And the living entities become inactive. And then at the right time, Krishna wakes them up, and their desires, then the material world is created. So they have a place to fulfill all their desires. So here it's the state in the material world. We have darkness, illumination, and we have clouds that sometimes appear and disappear. So this is how the sunshine is coming. There's illumination from it, but then there's periods of darkness at night, and sometimes there's clouds. But even when the sunshine has disappeared, the potency is still there. It's always existing. Sometimes we may see clouds, rainfall, sometimes snow, sometimes night, day, sometimes illumination and darkness. But does this mean that the sun doesn't exist? No, they're all happening because there is a sun. But the sun the sun is not affected by all these changes. So Krishna, he's the remote cause, and material nature appears to be the immediate cause of cosmic manifestation. But the material scientists, they get all confused. They think that material nature is producing everything. They think life is coming from material nature, interaction of different chemicals and different elements. But they are not correct. So Prabhupada lists 3 causes of creation. Time, we know that the time element becomes active, then creation will happen. Then the ingredients of creation have to be present. Krishna is providing all those ingredients. And then there's the creator, which we can say in the secondary creation is Lord Brahma. So Narada Muni is now talking with the Prachetas. They're aware of all these different features of the universe and the sources of creation. But Narada Muni says, to them to worship the direct cause, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage in this devotional service. This will include then every type of pious activity one may be thinking is necessary. In this material world, there's so many pious, impious activities. And I know I was like recently corresponding with one person. He's a man, he's a prisoner in the jail here in Florida. And we've been corresponding for some years. And then he is asking me, he's saying, because of my crimes, my sins, I want to atone. I want to perform some penances. What should I do? But I said, if you chant Hare Krishna, that includes all the penances you could perform. If you chant in this mood of thankfulness, begging the Lord to please accept you, that includes all the penances. So therefore, pious activities, pious life is restored. So here we see by showing mercy to all living entities, being satisfied somehow or other and controlling the senses, one can quickly satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is Prabhupada guiding us, saying, you want to satisfy Krishna quickly? Be merciful to all living entities. Reach out, give them Krishna consciousness. Be satisfied and control your senses. Then Krishna will be satisfied. And of course, Prabhupada defines best mercy form is to spread Krishna consciousness. Those who are actually learned and advanced in spiritual understanding should preach Krishna consciousness all over the world so that people may take advantage and make their lives successful. Everyone can benefit spiritually by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Even while preaching in hell, a pure devotee remains a pure devotee by his constant association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And to attain that state, what do we have to do? We have to control the senses, and the senses are automatically controlled when one mind is engaged in the service of the Lord. So here we can go and ask for any questions. Anyone have any questions? Because we're more than halfway through. Rukmini Devi, you have a question for us.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, can you please show the first slide when you started telling?
Which am I showing?
Can you please show the first slide?
The very first slide today or the one previous to this?
Like today only, Prabhuji, when you started today's chapter.
Yeah, that's way back.
It was regarding like there are three initiations. Three births. First from the parents,
Oh, yeah.
second from spiritual master, the Harinam initiation, and the third, and there was one more after third. So I was getting
Yagya.
yeah.
Who performs Yagya
So,
is taking his birth.
third project.
So, are you performing Yagya?
Yes, Prabhu Sankirtan Yagya.
Well, now you've had 3 births.
Okay, and that was after this. The third birth was something else, Prabhuji. What about the
No, after Yagya.
Yeah.
Yagya is what gives the birth. I don't know where it is. Somewhere back here. No, it's further up. Anyway, somewhere it was there. Sorry.
No problem. Okay, so Prabhuji, just a second birth is from a spiritual master, and there is one more initiation, that is Brahman initiation, the guide So does it also come?
Well, that initiation, Gayatri, is what the verse is talking about. I believe that's my understanding. I could be wrong. If you
I
feel
think,
some,
Prabhuji, Harinam initiation is not the initiation. The birth is the Brahman initiation.
that's generally the understanding, yes.
Yes.
And the third is then the Sankirtan, Yagya, Yagya. Third
Yes.
is yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
I think it's a relatively minor point, so don't worry about it. So,
Hare
I
Krishna,
think,
Prabhuji.
yes? Someone speak?
Prabhuji, yes, Prabhuji. Amrendra Haridas, Prabhuji.
Yes.
May I ask,
What?
Prabhuji, my question is that in yellow said Prabhuji, being satisfied some or the other and controlling the senses from sense enjoyment. We can quickly please Krishna. So please speak something more, Prabhuji, on this line. That many times, Prabhuji, we are not satisfied what we get by our destiny, and when we see that, oh, this devotee got so much, this devotee got less much, so we jealous by that devotee, and we means me myself not satisfied by seeing others opulence. So please see and please
Hmm.
say something on this. Hare Krishna.
So you're feeling sometimes you're not getting enough mercy. Or someone may be feeling like that. You have to ask how much mercy is actually required to have the effect. There were examples, Prabhupada's personal servant, and when they showed the picture of the man landing on the moon, Prabhupada said, no, he hasn't gone there. We haven't gone there. And that's so much to serve his servant that he left the service and he left Krishna consciousness. So he was so much intimately associated with Prabhupada, but due to his doubts, he couldn't remain. And so many other God brothers, God sisters I have, they actually never even met Prabhupada. And yet, 50 years later, they're still serving. So what is this? Lava Matra. Just a small fraction of a moment association. That's all that's required. And if you get what is required, yes, it's nice to get more, but it's sufficient. Sufficient for us to go back to Godhead. And at the same time, we can be and remain eager to get the association of advanced devotees. That eagerness should be there by serving. And somebody sitting in your heart, listening to all your desires and fulfilling them, and that is Krishna. So many times I know I have experienced something I want or need in Krishna consciousness, the Lord fulfills it. In his own time, but he does. He is not unappreciative of our service. He appreciates very much our service. So it is not really proper that we should feel envious of others who are getting apparently more mercy. But actually, I remember the mood when Srila Prabhupada was there with us, and he had his servants, and the servants are still, some of them with us and traveling and speaking, like Shruti Kirti Prabhu. and Shamasundar Prabhu and others, Harisari. And when as devotees would come back from serving Prabhupada and visit some other temple, devotees would just gather around them and just ask them, oh, what does Prabhupada do? What did he say? They just wanted to know, that's all. They weren't like, oh, you have served Prabhupada. I couldn't serve Prabhupada. This is terrible. No, they just wanted to know. They just wanted to hear. They just wanted to be able to serve or appreciate. Devotees, sometimes they have different desires. I remember one godbrother told me that, like in the LA temple, Prabhupada would come out of the temple after Bhagavatam class, and devotees would all line up and they would all be kneeling, hoping the Prabhupada would just touch them or something. And so the ones at the beginning of the line, Prabhupada would just pat them on the head. Then they would go out of the line after Prabhupada went further, and they would go around and they get in the back of the line again. So again, Prabhupada would see them. So this is a natural thing, to be eager for that association. This is a healthy sign. But it should not be carried to envy, because Krishna can provide anything we need or not provide as he desires. This is the stage of being simply sold out to Krishna's service. Is that okay? Did I answer your question?
Ji, Prabhuji, thank you, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, one more question may I ask?
How's that again?
I'm asking that may I ask one more question, Prabhuji?
Yes?
Prabhuji, in Diksha, we got five things: Pundrak, Tapak, Nam, Mantra. So when taking Diksha, and fifth one is Yagya. Five things we got in Diksha. So Diksha means Yagya means deity worship, Prabhuji.
It means several different things. We have Sankirtan Yagya. This is the Yagya of the age. Chanting Hare Krishna, and Prabhupada defined it also as book distribution. And obviously in our temples, where especially for initiation, marriage, and other things, they have the fire yagya, Agnihotra. So there are different forms of yagya.
So please explain these all five things. What we get in Diksha, Prabhuji?
What do we get in Diksha? We get the opportunity, even in Harinam Diksha, to be connected back all the way to Krishna. That Krishna will now accept us. Krishna will accept our service because a spiritual master is accepted. In the Brahmin initiation, one is given opportunity to perform the Brahminical duties of deity worship, cooking for the deities, performing Agnihotra, teaching the Vedas, like that. Any other questions? So I would like to take a 15-minute break here at this point, and when we can come back and conclude. So please take time to, if you need to chant your Gayatri or other activities, take time now. We'll come back in about 15 minutes, okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, wow. Hare Krishna. Is it okay? Everyone ready to start again?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Perhaps you're all a little eager to finish today, being the day before Christmas. Do they celebrate much Christmas in India? I don't think so.
Yes, Prabhuji, in India they celebrate today also, and the main celebration will be tomorrow night at 12 o'clock.
I see.
Yes, yes. In church,
Is that only like at the Christian churches or something else?
in Christian churches, Prabhuji.
All right. Well, this is one of their big days in the year where they suddenly feel religious, spiritual. They try to remember as they say, the reason for the season, that they're actually celebrating the birth of, we would say, their spiritual master. Should be very auspicious. So, to refresh and begin here, satisfying the Lord by devotional service. So, here the Prachetas are being described here, how they're satisfying the Lord. And Prabhupada talks about this intimacy between the Lord and his devotees. So all devotees, even neophyte, there's an intimate relationship with the Lord, but according to one's spiritual purity and advancement, that relationship becomes more intimate, to the point where the devotee feels that he belongs to Krishna and Krishna belongs to him. Such a intimate, close relationship. So there's two parts. Devotee, he is cleansed, he has to be cleansed of all, as we just said, cleansed of all material desires, free from all material contamination, and constantly addressing the Lord very feelingly. Avritam idita bhavano pahuta. And he is controlled by his devotees. Nija Janavas, and never leaves them. Narasarati Satam. So these are aspects of the Lord's reciprocation. He allows himself to be controlled by his devotees. He's the supreme controller. Everything is under his control. But because of this love, this selfless, deep love, pure love, he allows himself to be controlled by his devotees. And he never leaves them. He is with them constantly. So this is a very intimate, loving relationship that inspires the devotee more and more. It's just constant reciprocation. Krishna is taking care of the devotee and the devotee is serving Krishna, back and forth, competition. We know, like examples, like Raghunath Das Goswami, he was sitting on the banks of Radhakund, chanting Hare Krishna in the middle of the day, so hot, burning in Vrindavan. I'm sure Rukmini Harisevani can tell us, in the summer, chanting under the sun, it gets very hot, yeah? Noontime?
Yes, Prabhuji.
And in America, in Fahrenheit degrees, it gets like, what, 120, 130, something, very hot. Even in Florida, it barely goes over 100. And he was sitting out there chanting every day and completely oblivious how the sun was beating down on his body. And then Radharani was coming and holding her veil over the top of his head to shade him. And then Rupa Goswami saw this and said, "What are you doing? You're making Radha serve you. You should not do that. Build a bhajan kutir. Get out of the sunlight." So he did that. So the point is, the devotee doesn't want to force the Lord to serve him. He only wants to serve. The most selfish form of love. And it's not a type of love that people have experience of in this material world. People are always looking for something. They want something back for their love. They want some reciprocation. Something they want back. And if they don't get it, then there's problems. So what is the Lord's reciprocation? He relishes the activities of the devotees. They have no material possessions, and they're very happy possessing bhakti. This bhakti is their life. This is their core. And they're very happy. And the Lord doesn't accept the worship of non-devotees. They're puffed up with material education, wealth, aristocracy, fruit of activity, so many things. And oftentimes they deride devotees. So can anyone have experience of these non-devotees who are worshiping? I mean, we can say like maybe different religious groups, but specifically in India, I'm wondering. No? There are no such non-devotees there? That's very good. You're living in Goloka. Yes, Lakshmi.
Prabhuji, I have seen many people who says that they have faith in Krishna or they are devotees, but when any hardships or in bad time or any bad circumstances come, so they say that we have faith in Krishna, we trust Krishna, but Krishna is giving hard times to us. I mean, we are his devotees, and that is, but beside that, we are in trouble. I mean, we are believing Krishna, we are following whatever is written in Bhagavad Gita, but then we are also suffering. But the devotees are like, who says that whatever the circumstances are, they just believe that this is also Krishna's mercy. So they are happy, they are satisfied in all the circumstances. But the non-devotees, they always complain.
Yes, non-devotees, sometimes they're thinking, God is ignoring me. He doesn't care about me. He only punishes me if I make a mistake. And so they get a very difficult view of God, that he's a very vengeful, cruel God. Some religions, they push that idea, how vengeful and cruel. If you step out of line, even nowadays, non-devotees are very, some of the atheist people, they're criticized, how can you put your life in that kind of situation where you're worshiping somebody, you're praying to somebody, and he's so cruel, so uncaring, so harsh. And so therefore they lose their faith in God. But devotees come and they say, no, God is not like that. God is reciprocating all your loving actions. And so this concept is unknown to them. Sometimes there's people who obviously they promote this, but these other misconceptions. But the mass of people are a little innocent. They want to know that God is there and he cares about them, he loves them, and he wants to have a relationship with them. We all do. So Rukmini, how do you say, Vinny, you have a question again?
No, Prabhuji, a question now you were asking, so just wanted to say one point.
Sure.
Prabhuji, devotees and non-devotees. Non-devotees are like those who perform devotional service for Krishna, they are only devotees, and those who say that they worship demigods, they are not devotees actually. So they are not bhaktas. They are not doing bhakti because bhakti is to be, has to be performed for Krishna only. So they might have some faith in demigods, but they are not devotees. So two things were coming in my mind, and one first is non-devotees, like those people who worship demigods. So when they worship demigods, as we were reading in yesterday's session about Shiva, Lord Shiva, he gets pleased very easily. So, but the benediction he gives, it's actually not good. So, as he gave benediction to uh, so many people, and one more thing, it was coming. I don't know that how is connected, like that Jan Vaishwari Shutab Shivi Edamana Madhapuman Nevarate Dhatum Vai Tvam Aginchat Gocharam. The prayer of Kunti Maharani. So one who already is having a good education, a wealth, and birth in a good family. So these are actually obstacles in a bhakti. So doesn't accept worship of, so we should not. And last thing, that if they we should never accept after some time, like now we have of course we are doing bhakti Vaibhava, so I can say that we should not accept anything offered to demigods. We should not offer that food stuff. That's it. Thank you.
Definitely. We are Krishna Bhaktas. We only accept things, the remnants of Krishna, as our foodstuffs. Nothing else. It's a little difficult. In the West, they profess to be religious, but they don't practice very well. And sometimes in India, they practice, but they don't practice correctly. So this is Kali Yuga. Where would we be if we hadn't come in contact with Srila Prabhupada's movement, Srila Prabhupada's books? We would just be just like them. We are received as such an important drop of mercy. And now to share it with others, so valuable. So the Lord is the super soul. He's the controller. He's aloof from all material interactions. And so we should worship him with devotional service. By showing mercy to all living entities and controlling the senses, one can easily satisfy the Lord. That we discussed already, this is just repetition. The Lord becomes dependent on his devotees and doesn't care even for the goddess of fortune, or kings, or demigods, which a grateful person will not worship. What grateful person will not worship the Lord? So we're getting so many benefits from the Lord, why will we not worship him? That is the question. So, the devotee is begging the Lord, please accept me, don't kick me away. He is always thinking of Krishna, and his heart is pure, free from all kinds of desires. So in the material world, the heart of the living entity is filled with material desires. And then the yogi sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his heart, and as soon as the Lord is situated in his heart of the devotee cannot be contaminated anymore by the material modes of nature. When the mind is completely free from material desire, the devotee can think of the Lord constantly. So we want to think of the Lord constantly, but we have to have a pure heart, otherwise it would not be possible. And this way it becomes completely dependent on the lotus feet of the Lord. Nice prayer here. My dear Lord, you are now present as the daughter with the present, my dear Lord, you are now present with the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, Srimati Radharani. Now both of you, please be merciful upon me. Don't kick me away, because I have no other shelter than you, other than you. Somehow this is the prayer of devotee, that he has no other shelter. I don't know if it's a fact, but I think I saw this in this movie that was there many years ago, maybe too long ago for most of you. It was a movie on the life of Gandhi. And at one point, he's there with his wife and he has an argument and he throws her out of the house. So after some time, he opens the door and there she's sitting outside the door. And he said, "Why didn't you go somewhere?" He said, "I have nowhere else to go. I have to, this is where I belong. This is where I stay. I have to stay." So a devotee feels like that. I have nowhere else to go. So don't kick me away. You're the only shelter. You're the only way I can find protection from the threefold miseries, from my unlimited sufferings that are here in the material world. Don't kick me away. So in this way, a devotee becomes completely dependent. Also, the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes completely dependent on his devotee. So this is important. An example here, the Lord is invincible, and yet he is conquered by his pure devotee. So Queen Kunti prays like this, that you are conquered and overwhelmed by this loving devotion. And Krishna enjoys that. He enjoys being dependent on his devotee. We can see, we just finished the month of Damodar, and so many examples how he is dependent on Mother Yashoda. So just as Krishna enjoyed being dependent on the mercy of Mother Yashoda, he enjoys this. He thinks himself dependent on the devotee, and that gives him great enjoyment. So this is the difference with other religious forms, other religious philosophies. Everyone enjoys the Supreme Lord, worships the Lord with great reverence. And the Lord sometimes wants to enjoy being chastised by his devotee. In this way, the relationship eternally existing between the Lord and his devotee is fixed, just like the sky overhead. So this is a continuous relationship with the Lord. He has his father and mother. The gopis are there, the cowherd boys. And they chastise Krishna sometimes. Krishna has to serve them, the cowherd boys. Sometimes Krishna is carrying them on his shoulders. Sometimes Krishna is doing so many things for them. But he enjoys this. Sometimes Krishna in his Damodar form. His father says, "Please bring me my shoes." And he's so small he can't lift the shoes. He just goes and touches them and smiles. Because he wants to serve his devotees. He wants to have that loving relationship. So we want to love Krishna, but Krishna enjoys loving and being chastised by us. Not that we are going around chastising, "Krishna, why didn't you do this? Krishna, why didn't you do that?" No, not in that way. But the chastisement is based on love. Any thoughts or questions on this? Kind of interesting, important area. We as Gaudiya Vaishnavas want to know all about how Krishna enjoys being dependent on his devotees. Before coming to Krishna consciousness, most probably we never heard of this. How Krishna can enjoy being dependent on his devotees. Very, very sweet. Rukmini is ready to question. Please.
Just wanted to say one line that Krishna is Abhigya Swarat, and Krishna only knows his devotees, and his devotees only know Krishna. So this is the loving reciprocation Krishna and his devotees have. In Golok Vrindavan, Krishna is actually busy in the best point is I was hearing in today's Bhagavatam also. It was 10th canto, 50th chapter, first verse, first 5 verses, that it was like that why Krishna appeared in this material world. So in the Bhagavad Gita, we say that Sarv Dharman Paritajya Mam Ekam Sharanavaja Aham Tvam no sorry what's the hai?
Paritranaya Sadhanan
Vinash
Vinishya.
Jadushkritam Dharm Sansthapan. So these three are not the reasons that Krishna comes. That can be done by the Maya Shakti. So it was explained very nicely in the today's session in Vrindavan. So the point is like the Krishna comes to this material world to perform his pastimes, so the conditioned souls get attracted, and they get so much attracted that they get desire to go back to Golok Vrindavan. This is the main reason that Krishna appears, and this is how like Krishna feels like that Krishna, the Vrindavan Krishna, and the Krishna is Vrindavan Krishna, and Krishna is Dwarka, Mathura. So that Krishna only. There is a difference between like in Vrindavan Krishna, the devotees, they don't know that Krishna's opulence. They are not aware of it. Even if they are aware, that then their love is so much for Krishna that overcomes. And with when someone loves Krishna with awe and reverence, Krishna doesn't like that. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna also says, like when he in the 11th chapter, when Virat Roop Krishna shows, so he said, oh, I is my bad that I used to be, says like, oh, my sakha, and I used to be sleep with you, sit with you, and I used to make a joke with you. So with their awe and reverence is there. But what Krishna likes someone, the devotees of Vrindavan. In the 5 main rasas, Krishna wants to be loved, and this is the reciprocation Krishna actually wants. So the main yes, when Mother Yashoda, that same difference like Vasudev and Devaki, and Nand Maharaj and Yashoda. So he really, when he went there, so he really want to go back to Vrindavan. So Krishna only knows, and he loves to be dependent on his devotees. And in Golok Vrindavan, Krishna is busy in performing pastimes with his devotees. And rest of the things, managing material world, this and that, Krishna's energies are doing. So demigods are doing. So everything is getting done by Krishna's energy. So but just one line which I like the most, that Krishna doesn't know anything about, and Krishna just want to please his devotees, and what devotees want, they just want to please Krishna. Thank you.
Sounds like you had a very nice Bhagavatam class. Very good. Always eager to hear. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes very dear to those devotees who have no material possessions, but are happy, fully happy in possessing devotional service. Indeed, the Lord relishes the devotional activities of such devotees. Those who are puffed up with material wealth, education, and aristocracy, root of activity, proud of possessing material things, often deride the devotees. Even if such people offer worship to the Lord never accepts them. Devotees may appear to be materially poor, but because they are spiritually advanced and enriched, they are most dear to the Supreme Lord. So this is, again, more detail on the same point. Supreme Lord never excuses one who offends a pure devotee. Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes very dependent on his devotees, and actually the devotee cannot forget his obligation. The Supreme Personality of God, even for a single moment. So there's this mutual attachment between the Lord and his devotees, and it's not a creation of the material energy, but is actually very natural, and it is completely spiritual. So here we have, one has to hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead from a pure devotee. Hearing from Narada's mouth, Prachetas became strongly attached to the Supreme. It is sure and certain that anyone who always hears the glories of the Lord and thinks of the lotus feet will reach that supreme destination. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna glorifies that one should always think of him and worship him. And this is the correct thing, not to commit any offense against the pure devotee. So Maitreya is now concluding, and Sukadeva Goswami is giving benediction. So Narada, what does he do? He goes back to Brahmaloka. And the Prachetas, they attained the Lord's abode by meditating on his lotus feet. So in this way, he says, now I have concluded the conversation between Narada and Prachetas in glorifying the Lord. This is what Maitreya has now said. So Sukadeva now in the Bhagavatam is telling Parikshit, I have described all about Uttanapad's dynasty, now hear about Priyavrata. Priyavrata's spiritual knowledge from Narada, and yet he ruled the earth and divided the property among his children and attained the Lord's abode. So now Vidura, who was sent to hear from Maitreya by Krishna, he falls at the lotus feet of Maitreya with tears of devotion. He's thanking Maitreya and he says, I have now been shown the path of liberation by your mercy. Vidura goes off then to Hastinapur to see his relatives. And then there is a final benediction. That those who hear these topics about the surrendered kings obtain a long life, wealth, reputation, good fortune, and ultimately the opportunity to go back to Godhead. I hope you're all ready for that benediction. It is quite amazing. There's nothing left to be desired. So the process of self-realization means to go back and the path back to Godhead means surrendering to the bona fide spiritual master and taking the dust of his lotus feet on one's head. This is very interesting and important because this is how this Krishna consciousness movement started. We were following Srila Prabhupada, taking the dust of his lotus feet, and he was telling us about Krishna. And the Vedas enjoin here that we have to try and get out of the darkness of this material conditioned world and go to the light. information on that kingdom of light can be attained only by the mercy of the self-realized soul. So one has to get rid of all his material desires. And as soon as he frees them from material desires and associates with a liberated person, like is being done here, the Dura, the path back home, back to Godhead is clear. When a saintly person, now here we're switching gears again. Now he's talking about Vidura. Vidura is going to visit his relatives, specifically Dhritarashtra. So it's not like, oh, hey, I haven't seen my brother in a long time. I wonder how he's doing. No. He has no material desire to see him. He simply wants to give him some instruction so that he can benefit and go back home, back to Godhead. Even as neophytes, sometimes we try to do this. We try to give our relatives Krishna consciousness, even they may not want it. I remember the first time I went home after being in the temple for a few months for Christmas Day, because it was the custom in our family. So everyone's giving presents, so I gave presents. I gave everyone books about Krishna and the Back to Godhead. And they open the present, they look at it, and they look at me, and they said, "What is this? This is not a Christmas present. You're giving me some books." But they didn't understand that these books were the key to end their sojourn in the material world. So this is what the devotee wants to do. Then the benedictions come, if you're ready. One, those who hear these topics about the kings who are completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead obtain without difficulty a long life, wealth, reputation, good fortune, and ultimately opportunity to return home back to Godhead. Is anyone here that would object to these benedictions? It's time to speak up now. Seems like everyone is very pleased by this. This is what a devotee wants.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, we read and hear many times in many past times, Prabhuji, that by listening or by reading this, we'll get so thing. We'll surely get Krishna Prema or return back to Godhead. So, Prabhuji, it is really matlab, true with every pastime that will return many times back to Godhead. Then why many devotees leave Krishna consciousness, leave chanting after taking Diksha, Brahmana Diksha, everything. Why this happened, Prabhuji?
Why?
Ji,
Because they're
Prabhuji.
not purifying their heart. They're not taking shelter of the process of devotional service. And we have to see this as what the reality is. We are in Maya's kingdom. And Maya is the supreme ruler here. She is very powerful, very strong.
Ji, Prabhuji.
And devotees don't always give credit for that. So she can overwhelm at any moment and make one forgetful. But we're very fortunate that Krishna and the spiritual master won't forget us, even for a little sincere service. I always remember the activities of one of my godbrothers. Trying to remember his name. Anyway, maybe it'll come to me. When he was intimately serving Srila Prabhupada in a very important way. He was spreading Krishna consciousness in Asia, Southeast Asia, and different things. He took sannyas. But after Prabhupada left, after a little while, he fell away from Krishna consciousness. He stopped chanting. He put all his beads and his books in a big container and locked it up He got married to a non-devotee, was living his life, and then in due course of time he had, I guess it might have been cancer, I don't remember. At any rate, he was in the hospital and he was dying, and the doctors were gathered by him and they were trying to understand the future. He was unconscious in a coma, and they didn't know how much longer he had to live, but obviously not too long. And then while they're discussing, suddenly the devotee sat up in the bed and he said, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada, you have come." So he was directly seeing Srila Prabhupada. And then moments later, he left his body. So later, his wife somehow went to that box and unlocked it, opened up, saw all Prabhupada's books and all the his chanting beads, and she went and found the temple, Krishna temple, and she said, "My husband had all these things. What is it all about? What is this?" So then devotees explained what is Krishna consciousness, and then she told the story, what happened. How Srila Prabhupada at the last moment of life came to that devotee to take him back to Godhead. Even Maya had totally overwhelmed him and made him forget. So by pleasing the spiritual master, pleasing the pure devotee, incredible things will happen. So even Maya may overwhelm us and confuse us, still, that mercy is still always with us. So Prabhupada said, do not be amazed at who leaves this Krishna consciousness. Rather be amazed at who stays. So to me, what that means is, it's not surprising that a person may fall away. But if someone can actually stay and continue, that is truly amazing. This is Kali Yuga. And many of us, most of us, come from families that were not Krishna conscious. I have to admit, maybe you did too. And the fact that we can come and attain the highest thing in one lifetime is practically inconceivable. The Prachetas had to go on serving the Lord for 1 million years. Long, long time. And the material energy is very powerful, and they felt contaminated by the material energy over time. So they wanted to go and leave home, focus on their spiritual life, so they could prepare and go back home, back to Godhead. And Narada Muni, he didn't forget, he came and found them again and delivered them back home, back to Godhead. So this is amazing process of Krishna consciousness. You know what may take millions of lives or millions of births, in this Kali Yuga we can finish up in one life. It may seem sometimes that we're not able to taste all the wonderful rasas and participate in being overwhelmed with bliss constantly and all these things. But at least from my viewpoint, I say I have no qualification to expect that. My only qualification is to stick to the lotus feet of my spiritual master. And he is going to somehow or other deliver me back to Godhead. Even if I'm kicking and screaming, he will take. I remember a couple months ago, Srila Radhanath Maharaj was visiting Florida, and I was there in some group that he was meeting with. And this is the second or third time he had seen me in a week in different locations, and there was initiation there. Some of the devotees from one of the temples I oversee were getting initiation, and I had to speak something about him. Then later on, a couple of days later, I saw Maharaj again, and he personally came up and he was shaking my hand, and he only spoke like one sentence to me, and it was actually quite significant. He said, "Srila Prabhupada appreciates your service." So I thought about that, and I thought he could have said many different things, but this was actually wonderful to tell me that Srila Prabhupada actually was accepting and appreciating my service. And that's the goal of life. What more can we say? So we have to go on serving whole lifetime. Why not? What else is there better to do? You know, I look in my lifetime, yes, I could have gone different ways, different paths, but having come in contact with Srila Prabhupada was the path less followed by anyone, but has made all the difference in life. The quality of life, the quality of association, the wonderful experiences of devotional service has made all the difference. And I can only be grateful and thankful that they have been so kind of such a fallen conditioned soul. This is the only understanding I can have, that they've been so kind and so merciful, even though I don't deserve it. Nothing I did to deserve. I had no qualification, nothing. Only the mercy. So we talk about others getting more mercy, but we got the mercy. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have that mercy. We're all here among the rarest human beings on the planet. Those sincerely interested in serving Krishna, going back home to Godhead. We should value each other's association very deeply, because it's so rare to find such persons, especially in Kali Yuga. Devotees are the best of persons, and they simply are doing good for us by that association. So does anyone have any comments or questions more you'd like to ask?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danda Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you are so humble. You are so humble. It is wonderful to feel that. So humble you are. Kindly bestow your mercy and give your just small bit of that, so that we can also succeed in life.
You are succeeding. Just keep on. Don't lose faith. Krishna is there.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. Thank you. So nice of you.
You have the association of devotees. Now, also give your association to others, and you'll find that association is even more valuable. We are meant to be hearing and chanting with devotees, exchanging different gifts and prasadam, and revealing our minds, and let others reveal their minds to us. We're meant to have intimate exchanges with devotees. Take advantage of it.
Sure, Prabhuji. Give your blessings, Prabhuji.
Naturally, you all have my blessings.
Thank you very much. So nice, so nice, so nice, Prabhuji. So
Prabhuji,
nice.
he is very senior preacher of Rohini Prabhuji, and he has made thousands of devotees in ISKCON Rohini Prabhuji.
Just to bring one person to Krishna consciousness is difficult, but it's so satisfying. So satisfying. I always remember when I was a young devotee, early devotee, in the Detroit temple, there was one lady used to come with her 3 kids, and she was working as a chemical engineer. Kids were, 8 to 12 or whatever. And when she came, I would sit down and I would talk to her. And many weeks, most weeks, I would talk with her. And she shared, her struggles, and I encouraged her. She eventually became initiated. And I remember her saying that I was the only one that took interest in her and spoke to her coming to the Sunday feast. Because here was a single mother with 3 kids, not your, let's say, your best prospect, perhaps. But because I gave her that attention, she became a devotee of Krishna. And I don't take any credit. I just say that I was just trying to be of some help and give some association. But if we can turn one devotee, one person's head and back to Godhead, then that is the greatest accomplishment. Whether it's your children, whether it is your neighbor, people you meet in Sankirtan, someone who visits the temple, someone you come in contact with. There's one devotee here in Alachua, God brother. He keeps a packet of books with him always. So when he goes in the store or in the post office, he's standing in line to purchase something. He turns to the person next to them and says, "Oh, have you heard about these books? Books about Krishna. You should take one and read." In other words, he's always looking every opportunity to share Krishna consciousness, even in the most mundane situations. We have something that no one else has. We have Krishna, and we can give them. So this is the greatest benediction. Greatest benediction. Any other questions, comments?
I would like to say thanks for coming and taking your time because the time zones were different and still you made it for all of us. And the special highlight, I would say, of all these sessions is what you spoke about Srila Prabhupada. Since you have had that, you have seen him personally, physically. So that was enriching for many of us to hear those stories and anecdotes and pastimes. So thank you very much.
You're most welcome. I
So
remember.
you explained everything in so simple way, and your slide preparation is wonderful. Wonderful. You have made everything so simple. What should I say? But excellent teaching way. Excellent. Thank you, Prabhuji.
You're most welcome.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I also want to say thank you so much. As His Grace Radhakishan Prabhu said, that yes, it was so helpful to have the slides. We have by your blessings. Yes, we have attended the sessions and little bit we have understood also because of your blessings. But after some time, if we don't make notes, we forget also. But these slides are for, I don't know for how long will it help. Whosoever would just take the recording, that devotee will be able to have everything in the slides, and really it was so easy to understand. I have a little mind, I'm a dumb mind, and I was also able to understand. And thank you so very much for giving us time. And I really want to thank her guest Anandila Mataji also, that she made it, and you came. Thank you so much. We are the only thing that in whole Bhagavatam, the one prayer is common, that you have a association of pure devotees. So we are blessed to have an association of a senior Vaishnava, you. So we are really very much thankful. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And when you were telling one thing, in the DT department, so I was just thinking about Hargis Anila Mataji, how beautifully she, whenever I see her reels or some on YouTube links of the Mataji makes the dresses for DTs. It's like amazing. It just, we get just mesmerized. So, and in the beginning, you met with some of the devotees, Prabhuji, and there are few devotees from Pakistan also, and the devotee and his Radha Keshwar Prabhuji, who was saying, so he serves in temple, and he's a very senior devotee, and he's Amendra Hari Prabhu, he's a brahmachari. There's so many uh, amazing devotees are here. So and by your blessings, and we get your association, it was like a moon along with the stars. Thank you so much.
You
Prabhuji,
are
you have made so many slides and these. Can you have the tray of this?
Yeah, I think Rukmini, how do you say any? Can you send me some way I can contact her, or maybe Ananda Leela I can send
Okay,
her.
both of either of them or both of them.
No, I have Prabhu's contact. So Prabhuji, I'll send you the today's link as well. So we request if you can
How will you send? What way?
on WhatsApp.
Oh, you do go on WhatsApp. You were saying it's all Maya, so I thought she don't go.
I always see that devotees and have who have just spiritual contacts. That's it. The non-devotees I don't take care of. I don't see their status, nothing. Because if there is an option of checking status in the WhatsApp. I have few devotees, like 5 6 devotees. They are very senior devotees. If they are posting just one thing, it is really, I get the motivation, and that stay with me whole day long. So I just see the status of those devotees like this. Thank
Very
you.
nice. Anyone else? Anything else? Do we miss?
Let's all pray our obeisances to the lotus feet of His Grace Ramiya Das Prabhuji, so that he gives us mercy and again. Vancha kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhu vaevacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah. His Grace Ramiya Prabhuji ki jai.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for your association.
So, should we stop here? Very
No,
good.
please continue. Please continue.
Continue. Well, it's time. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm very grateful to have opportunity to be with all of you and discuss the Bhagavatam. It's been very, very wonderful service. I appreciate it. Thank you. So, Vanchakalpatubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Chapadinam Pavaneva Vaishnava Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vasaya Buddhaya Shimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Sati Gauravani Bhajanane Nirvisesa Sayavada Pasajadas. Vaishnav Sangha Ki Jai. Thank you so much. So, and until Krishna gives the opportunity for us to meet again, thank you all. Take care. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Thank you. So nice of you.